It is rivalry week and the final week of the regular season. You know what that means. Tensions are running high as spots in conference championships are up for grabs. The question is who's in, whose spot is secure, and who is on the bubble of the college football playoff. We're going to get into that here. Welcome to the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I am Sam Ravech. For those of you who are still in a malaise from the turkey and stuffing from this past Thanksgiving, we are here to get you caught up on what happened over the last 48 hours because it was a crazy 48 hours, Scoop.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about in the show. And shout out to everybody that's in the YouTube chat. I will be looking throughout the show. Join the conversation. Let's talk about a whole bunch of different things. But let's just recap what has happened in the last 48 hours to your point, Sam, right? So let's start with the craziest game at midnight. Georgia, Carson Beck and his Bulldogs. Here he is throwing the touchdown in the first OT to London Humphreys from 17 yards out. Then later in OT, just give me my money. Cash Jones from 25 yards out. And then finally, Nate Frazier in the 8th overtime punches it in as Georgia wins it 44-42. We'll talk about that game later. And then in the battle for South Carolina, the Gamecocks ran wild. For real. Lenora Sellers had his team playing catch up in the fourth quarter until he brought out the mustard. This electrifying run for South Carolina helps them beat Clemson 17-14. They're now in playoff discussion. Don't sleep. Now, since joining the ACC in 2004, Miami has just one appearance in the ACC title game. They could change that with a win in the final game against Syracuse. Cam Ward and the Canes came out firing. 21-0 lead. You thought they would pass the sticks, but Syracuse's Kyle McCord said nah. 380 yards passing, 3 touchdowns total. They win at 42-38. And then in the horseshoe, second-ranked Buckeyes went down swinging, literally. Ryan Day's winless streak against Michigan continues as the Wolverines kick a field goal with 45 seconds to go and take down the second-ranked Buckeyes 13-10. After the game, the scene got so ugly as both teams brawled and Michigan tried to plant their flag in the center of the field. Guys got maced. Things got personal.
Ugly.
There's a lot to react to. So, Sam, let me come to you first. What is your initial reaction from the madness that we have seen in the last 48 hours?
Complete chaos. And, again, we're going to get to all of it. But I'll start with what we saw in the horseshoe today. Because ever since Ohio State lost to Michigan last year in the Big House, Ohio State, Ryan Day and their team began the process of trying to put together the quote-unquote best roster in college football. They go and hire a head coach away to call plays on offense. They essentially fire a quarterback in Kyle McCord. That's pretty much what happened. They also went and fired a defensive coordinator the year prior. They bring in a new coordinator. $20 million roster, all with the idea of trying to beat the team up north. And they came up empty once again. I guess that's my takeaway, is they continue to come up empty. They continue to search for answers. You can keep spending money over and over again. Nick Saban even warned about this at the start of the year. You can put together this roster and spend as much money as you want. But at the end of the day, if they don't play together as a team, what's it really worth?
That's a great start to the show, Sam. And listen, it's tough. It really is. As a football fan, and really a fan of the game, it's hard to digest the fact that, as coaches, we're very comfortable with just saying, this player, he is what he is. And he's just not, he's only going to be so good. Well, at this point, everything that we've seen, the evidence that we have gathered over the years, Ryan Day struggles to manage the game properly in big game moments. He mismanages his team leading up to these moments and preparing them properly.
It's a funny tweet.
It is, man. And listen, this is my problem too with them. You basically tell Kyle McCord to walk. You bring in Quinshon Judkins. You bring in Will Howard. You essentially poach a head coach from UCLA to be your offensive coordinator and claim that he just wanted to be the OC because he wanted to rekindle your relationship again. This is the funniest tweet of all day.
All right, He said, all right, you got next. And this is what Ryan Day does when he gets the sticks for Ohio State. Drove the bus off the cliff.
The thing is, too, a lot of guys return for this one game, and my issue is that it's the exact same result that we saw a year ago, right? Poor on offense, can't run the football.
That's right.
Right? We know there's injuries on the offensive line. I get that, but still, there was no attitude or toughness, I feel like, in certain moments of that game where hey, you're the better team. And Michigan, I thought, for the most part, out-hit you and outplayed you in crucial moments. And they survived to the fourth quarter, Michigan.
Yeah.
And that's when they started to run the football more effectively and essentially win the football game.
And we'll talk about that game more because,
I mean, a lot to go through.
With everything that has happened, just being able to wrap my mind around that Georgia win, 8 overtimes. If they would have lost that game, more chaos would have ensued because if Georgia would have lost the SEC Championship game, then they're out completely. But I'm looking down at the chat. People are saying Notre Dame is in. Yes, they are in. Miami, are they out? Yes, I do think Miami is out. Are the Buckeyes out? No, the Buckeyes are still in. There is a lot to address, but we have a game that is going on right now between the Texas teams. And you know what we're going to hit? The live look button. So everybody who came to watch this game with us, go ahead and join the squad.
The stakes could not be any higher for this game between Texas A&M and Texas. First meeting since 2011, as it's been noted all year long. Trip to the SEC Championship is on the line, guys.
I was like,
Maddie,
where are you going?
Scooby went to go grab our football because we are the college football show, so we got to have a football on our set here. All right, so Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, freshman quarterback, driving here. Maddie, what have you liked about Marcel Reed? What are some keys in this game for him going up against this stout Texas defense that allows 12 points a game?
I think the biggest part of it, really, right here as we watch this, is can Texas A&M consistently protect him, right, and give him opportunities to stay upright and do exactly what he did there. Very mobile quarterback, throws the football extremely well on the run. So can the offensive line protect him, and can they win some of those short yardage situations, which we already saw? They lost one of them, but that's the big thing for them. Can they lean on their offensive line talent to protect their young quarterback in crucial situations with Amari Daniels in the backfield as well with him? The loss of Le'Veon Moss, is something that we need to continue to bring up because he was essentially the bell cow of this football team.
Now, you can't do that.
Picked off.
Can't do that. That's an interception. Marcel Reed has thrown the ball over 200 yards in each of the last 3 games, but he has also thrown an interception now in each of the last 4 games, and that's something you can't do against Texas because they have a lot of takeaways this year.
They do. The secondary is really, I think, one of the strengths of their defense, right? Great job high-pointing the football right there. Man, Toffee is a good football player. I love that kid in the way that he plays. Hard-hitting football player, very aware, high football IQ.
That's good on Sundays.
2 feet.
Yeah.
Good on Sundays.
All right, so that's a momentum killer at home. Kyle Field, incredibly loud, a great atmosphere. I'll tell you,
for the senior.
Massive play. It was also a great atmosphere inside the horseshoe today. It might not have been the result that they were looking for, but time now for Can't Take the Heat, built by the Home Depot. This game will certainly not go down in the top 10 in terms of play on the field between Ohio State and Michigan. 13-10 was the final score in Michigan's favor. 4 turnovers, 2 on both sides. But at the end of the day, it's 4 straight for the Wolverines over Ohio State as the Buckeyes continue to search for answers. Here is what Ryan Day had to say after the game.
I mean, everybody, wants to win this game in the worst way, and nobody wants to win it more than we do. And it's our number 1 goal every year. And so when you don't, do that, then there's disappointment and frustration. And so, I don't blame anybody for being upset. I'm upset, more than anybody. And, those players are too, and the coaches and everybody that goes at it. So, I mean, we know what we're getting ourselves into here.
So many different directions, and we will. But I'm going to start here. Ryan Day, like we have just mentioned, has tried just about everything he can to beat that team.
Yeah.
He has failed.
Right.
Why?
The same repetitive mistakes year after year after year. All right. The offense. Where are the explosive? All I hear about every Saturday and Sunday is that the Ohio State skill group, the receiving core, it's the greatest we've ever seen. All this. Where is Jeremiah Smith? Where is Emeka Ibuka? Where is Carnell Tate in these situations? Why am I not seeing more game plan specific plays to get these playmakers involved in the game more often? Where's Quinshon Judkins?
Yeah.
Why are we paying him all this money to walk from Ole Miss to be a part of this team when we can't even establish a well-developed running attack?
Right.
And that's where I get a little conflicted and confused. Will Howard, again, made 2 huge crucial mistakes in this football game. Their inability to help him throughout the game, getting him easy completions. The Penn State game, I thought, wow, this is why you got Chip Kelly.
Right.
There was a few plays in that game where I said, man, this is really well designed, specific to beat this team. Today, I didn't see any of those things. This is the most depleted Michigan team he's seen. The king is off his throne. Harbaugh is in the NFL giving those guys fits now. The throne is open, and yet the same result.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I get a little confused. Hey, spend all the money you want, right, in the offseason. Michigan won the football game today with a walk-on quarterback, all right? That's the truth of it. That's the unfortunate thing about it for this team. But again, Michigan, the more physical football team. Zavada with his clutch kicking, the 54-yarder after flipping the field, right, from Doman's punt, the 68-yard punt, flipping the field, pinning them back, the field goal off of that 3-and-out after their short punt. That really was kind of the game in a lot of ways. And one little smaller moment. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My other issue, well, here's the comparison of the quarterbacks, and that was the thing, you know, for me it's a little personal because I know Kyle and I know his family, but the fact that they kind of pinned it all on this one young man a year ago when he played the best that any quarterback played against the best team in the country, the national champion, the Michigan Wolverines. They essentially told him, we're good, we're better without you, told him to walk, and, you know, okay, hey, now that's that, all right? I was a little surprised, though, in the 2-minute drill. I thought that was the best that Will Howard looked throughout the football game.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Because simple vanilla defenses were up pace, were tempo. He looked like he was much more relaxed in that situation, making clean decisions quickly, getting the football out of his hands. And then, you know, Day says they tried to go with tempo later in the game. I didn't quite see it that same way.
Yeah.
But kind of surprised that they didn't take that and try to use it later in the football game to help their team get more momentum.
I'll come to you here, Scoob. I think the biggest indictment for Ryan Day and Ohio State is they did all of this. They put together the roster.
Yeah.
They got all the players in there that they wanted to be and have the best roster in college football. But at no time this year have they actually looked like the best football team in the country, I think, at least for a full game. So what is a successful season now for Ryan Day and Ohio State?
Right now, it is championship or bust for Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
3 goals.
Yes.
Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, win a national championship.
0 for 2 right now,
So now what?
on your goals, because that is what they've been preaching since day one of training camp.
Right.
We have to beat Michigan, and then we're going to go win the Big Ten championship. So you can't do either of those two. So the next thing for you now is to go on and win the national championship, because Ohio State still is a team that's going to play in the college football playoff. But just take a look at what Ryan Day has done while being at Ohio State against Michigan. Just loss after loss after loss. And this is probably one of the most embarrassing ones, because you're a 21-point favorite. You're at home.
Yeah.
You're going against a Michigan team that's currently in a rebuild. This is your year with the best roster that you have had since being at Ohio State. So for Ohio State and Ryan Day, right now it's championship or bust. And if he doesn't get there, Sam, I'm going to come to you. Does Ryan Day keep his job?
Oh, dude.
Here we
That's
go.
a tough question.
I got to ask it.
I guess it depends how they lose, probably in the college football playoff. But I don't think that they get rid of Ryan Day. I don't think that they do. I think they probably give him another year.
A lot of people in the YouTube chat right now are like, Ryan Day is gone.
Hey,
Get him out of here.
I get all that. It's so easy to say, get him out of here. Let's move on.
Sure.
All right, show me the list.
Yeah.
Who's the replacement? Who
Yeah.
is going to bring them to the next level, right? The quote-unquote next level.
Are
right?
you going to put Chip Kelly in there? I don't know.
Wait. I just saw something
That's
from
kinda funny, actually.
Captain Spartan. He said Mike Vrabel is just sitting out there for Ohio State. Hey, yo.
Look,
that's actually kind of interesting.
there are options. There are options out there, but
Shout out to YouTube chat. Remember, I said if you're talking over here, we're going to add you into the show for the discussion.
I think it's one of those things that's easy to say. Right?
Agreed.
But we're not quite there yet. There's still a lot of football to be played. And all that being said, they can still win the national championship.
No doubt.
But this is definitely a black eye or a blemish to what we thought was a team that really had the resume going into the year to really make a run.
And let me just say this real quick. Ohio State the players played a great game on the football field. And when I say players, the defense, because if you look at Michigan's drives, 2 plays, 2 yards, touchdown. 4 plays, 3 yards, field goal. and their last drive was 11 plays, 57 yards with a field goal. And don't get me started on that substitution penalty that Ryan Day had, which gave Michigan the first down when they were in the red zone. So those mistakes that end up ultimately costing them the game are going to fall on the coach.
Yeah.
So I want to shout out Michigan's coaching staff because you have had probably the best 2 weeks. You got Bryce Underwood in that commitment, however much you paid him, apparently $10 million, whatever it is. You also smacked Northwestern 50-6. And now you get your fourth straight win against Ohio State. Shout out to the Michigan fans. Shout out to the Michigan Wolverines. You closed out your year strong.
I'm glad you brought up Bryce Underwood because these teams, Ohio State and Michigan, kind of are turning into the Yankees and the Dodgers in terms of like payroll, exceeding salary caps. In the new NIL world, we'll see how the revenue sharing all works out.
With that expectations.
And again, but also it brings incredibly higher expectations and also tensions, which we saw boil over onto the field after the game today.
Right.
I thought Kalel Mullings had a great post-game sound talking about, how it's kind of it sullies the game. It's not how you wanted the game to end, but we also saw a video of Ryan Day kind of just standing there and mouthing what happened, which I thought was a little bit curious. I get it. You're probably in shock after you just lost. But
no doubt.
What did you make after what we saw post-game on the field in terms of how that...
This is so bad, man.
It's just not good.
Just take a look at this video, y'all, how the fight broke out. So Michigan wanted to plant their flag in the middle of the Buckeye. Ohio State players absolutely snapped when they saw this, and it got violent. Players ended up getting maced. And I'm going to jump in here and just give my take. I think Ryan Day, as a head coach, from when I played football, I know my coach would have ran in the middle of that and looked at all of us like, what the F are you doing? Mm-hmm. Get it together. Think back to Kirby
This is
Smart.
a terrible clip right here, too.
This is all just bad. And Kalel Mullings had one of the best quotes. Man, we had 60 minutes for y'all to do that rah-rah fighting stuff, and you didn't get to it. I mean, it's just a bad look, and I look at other head coaches like Kirby Smart, the way he snapped on his players when they were doing the Gator Chomp, the way I know Nick Saban would never let this slide, and Ryan Day just looked like a deer in the headlights that was shocked that his team just lost a game that they should have won.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he was just a little overwhelmed by the moment. His inaction, right, says a lot.
It does. You're right.
And that's what I think is the biggest concern, too, because we got to remember, too, these are 18 to 22-year-olds for the most part, right, out there.
Right.
And the emotions of the game are real. We, of course, lose ourselves in the emotions, right? We're all human beings, and this game means a lot to these young men.
It does.
And a lot of these guys, like Sawyer, like we just saw, I mean, he admitted he came back to play this one game. So for him to come up short in this moment, yeah, he didn't want to see those things happen. That being said, it's a flag, bro. You know, the key is that you lost the game, right? And go over there, you shake the other team's hand, or maybe you don't in this rivalry going forward, and you don't even allow that to happen. Just have the head coaches do it, and both teams go to their locker room. But the truth is that, hey, everything that had to be said, right, with hands and fists and all that, happened on the field. And as soon as the game is over, you gotta show respect to your opponent and move forward. The whole flag thing. I mean, listen, if we lose our emotions over that, I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, just to close this out because then we got to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
As football players, your head coach isn't just trying to coach you to be a better player. They're also trying to coach you to be a better man. How you represent yourself both on and off the football field. Ryan Day, that moment where you had an opportunity to step in there and kind of get your players under control, you didn't do that. That's not how men should act off the field, right? Sometimes people want to keep it real, and I get it, Ohio State. He tried to plant his flag right in the middle of your logo, but keeping it real can go wrong. Keeping it real can get you maced. Keeping it real can get you in jail. So to watch him just stand there like, what just happened? Kind of pissed me off. And I just expected better from him as a head coach, and that's why there's a lot of questions about him as a coach.
I didn't see Sharon Moore in that situation. I don't know where he was. The camera found Ryan Day perfectly in that situation. And like I said, his inaction says a lot, right? But emotional game, we don't want to see it that way. We got to carry ourselves a little bit better. And listen, this is just not a good look for college football or the sport in our country as a whole.
The ramifications from this also and the fallout from it. We haven't really heard anything, or at least I don't think we've heard anything at the time of the show from league office as to what suspensions may come. Ohio State's not going to be playing in the Big Ten championship game. they will be playing in the college football playoff. So how the league decides to handle that with everything going forward is still
great point,
very much up in the air.
Yeah.
But we do know who will be playing in the Big Ten Championship, and that will be Penn State now, who took down Maryland. As a result of Ohio State losing, Penn State now slips in, and they will play Oregon. Penn State taking care of business there against Maryland, 44-7. And look, Penn State was kind of sitting pretty there. They were probably secretly hoping for Ohio State to have to go and have a rematch there. And, you know, they were in a spot where they were going to be hosting a first-round playoff game. They would have had like 30 days off. So, a preview of this Big Ten championship game, Scoob. Now, Penn State and James Franklin, they got to go and try to win one.
I don't feel like Penn State really wanted this smoke, Matt, because now they gotta see Oregon. Penn State thought they were about to be off next week, get a little bit of time off, but no. Now you got to see Oregon, a team that you know is definitely the top of the chart in the Big Ten. But hey, we got our matchup set, brother. We got it set.
If Penn State loses this game, is there a concern that they could miss the playoff?
Well, this kind of goes back to that Lane Kiffin discussion that we had a few weeks ago with the SEC Championship and all of that. I mean, do they get punished for actually being a part of the championship game? I don't think they will. I think even if they do lose that game, they're still safe. Of course, if Oregon loses it, that would be their first loss. They're still safe. But overall, you got to be excited for James Franklin in this opportunity.
Yeah.
Because he is in the same boat as Ryan Day, of someone that is trying to rewrite the narrative of how the big media world sees him and his resume and what he's done and his inability to win some of these big games. So this is a great opportunity for Penn State. Drew Aller played a really solid football game again today. They ran the football efficiently, and I think the loss to Ohio State was a nice wake-up call to them. So hopefully they can continue to build on this. Now, the Minnesota victory, a little shaky at times, but hey, good opportunity for Penn State. They get to play an extra game to kind of prove to the country that they can make a run.
No question. So Penn State and Oregon, your Big Ten championship,
Yes,
that'll be coming up next week. All right, let's take a trip around the ACC, where Clemson and South Carolina were battling it out in Death Valley today. Two teams on the fringe of the playoff race right now. We'll pick things up here, second quarter, 13+ to go. Cade Klubnik airing it out. Antonio Williams, 40 yards downfield. Tigers move into the red zone. Couple of plays later now. Klubnik dropping back. He takes off 13 yards. He has 62 rush yards on the day. Clemson on the board first, 7-0 over South Carolina. Now 9.5 to go. South Carolina in the red zone. Lenore Sellers. He's got wheels too. He takes it 25 to the house. This game was always going to be, Maddie, who's going to run and control the ground game better. Clemson, probably the best rushing offense that South Carolina has faced this year. Gamecocks ranked 12th in the country in defending the run. So this was a battle between who could rush it better.
Yeah, and it was definitely South Carolina. That's one of the things that we noticed looking at the box score. Hey, everything else was pretty much neck and neck, Matt.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just love the way that both of these quarterbacks competed today. Everyone was great between the 30s, and everyone just failed to make plays in that low red zone area. But hey, Lenore Sellers, all right, because he's putting defenders to sleep over here all the time. Telling you, man, this cat, he is different.
Yeah.
All right, this is the future of the conference right here. But this is really the key of this football team, right, is the South Carolina defense. They got playmakers all over the field. The physicality in which they play with, the way that they can hit you. Now,
look at that.
All that being said, I think Riley and Clemson did a lot of good things schematically to attack this team. Cade Klubnik played really solid football despite that last-second interception there that essentially sealed the fate of the game. The big picture is that South Carolina, man, they are battle-tested.
Yeah.
They got dudes everywhere. They are a physical football team. And Lenore Sellers is one of, if not maybe, the most improved quarterback in all of college football this year.
Yes.
I've been telling you for the past few weeks, we got to watch this guy more. And it's so funny. We go back to even that tough loss they suffered to LSU earlier in the year, and you're thinking, man, if they win that football game, there's no doubt they're a college football playoff team.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And again, I think the committee, takes into consideration how your team has been playing lately, especially in the month of November. And it's an easy argument to make that South Carolina is easily playing like one of the 12 best teams in the country. They've won 6 straight. A lot of those are against some ranked teams. They've got 3 ranked wins in the top 25, according to the College Football Playoff Committee. You mentioned the LSU loss, one that they probably should have won, but
For sure.
It's easy to make the argument, Scoob, that South Carolina doesn't really even have a bad loss, considering they lost to Alabama and Ole Miss and LSU. That's it.
Yeah, and you got Shane Beamer sitting there at the presser saying, there's no way you can tell me we want one of the best 12 teams in the country. And with the way that they're playing ball right now, I don't think I can disagree with them. Lenore Sellers has just gotten better every single week. To Matt's point, I mean, the numbers from his game today, for him to have 166 rushing yards, just the fourth most in a game by QB in South Carolina history. And then at the same time, they were down by more than 7 points in the fourth quarter. Shane Beamer is 0-19 in those situations in his career. But when you have a quarterback like Sellers, he can be a game breaker and a game changer. And his change of direction is unlike anything that I've seen from running quarterbacks in the country.
Especially the way
he's able,
he's big. He's so big.
He's stocky, he's big, and it seems like once he gets some momentum, he's just going to keep going.
And just like Zavada from Michigan with his clutch kicking, right, hitting a 54-yarder, then the game winner, right? Alex Herrera.
Yeah,
right? He had a 42-yarder in this football game, too, in the fourth quarter. That was a huge kick for this team to make it 14-10 at that moment, which then led to Lenora Sellers being able to take off for that touchdown to ultimately win the football game and put it in the hands of their defense. And like the South Carolina defense has done throughout this year, they made a big play when it mattered most. And that's where, you know, if you're like a Notre Dame, do you really want to see
that's a nightmare.
South Carolina in the first round of the college football playoff? Because I think Notre Dame's like a real competitive team that can win and make some hay in the playoffs. But you see a South Carolina team, and man, you're like, really? Like, this is the matchup we got?
Yeah, and I want to see South Carolina in the college football playoff because they're just such a good team. And Clemson, at the end of this game, they looked at it like, all right, our hopes are pretty much done because we just lost this game that would have essentially given us a chance to play in the ACC, to play in the college football playoff.
Right.
But they have a chance to play in the ACC title game because of what happened in Syracuse versus Miami. And listen, we told people to watch out for this game if you're a Hurricanes fan because things could get messy. So let's start it with Miami looking good early, up 21-0, but LaQuint Allen has something to say about it because he's a monster. 22 carries, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Goose egg broken. It's 21-7. Fast forward to 2 minutes left in the third. It's a tie game. Ward drops back. He finds Xavier Restrepo, and that thing pops out like some fresh toast. And Devin Grant says, let's get this bread. 56-yard touchdown return, and don't look now, Syracuse has a 7-point lead. And they're on track to have one of the best comebacks in program history. So we go to the fourth quarter, Miami in the red zone. Damian Martinez, he had himself a day, punches it in, 10 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown for him. We're tied at 35. So fourth quarter now, y'all. Syracuse says we got a badass running back too, and it's LaQuint Allen. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. It's his 5th game with multiple rushing touchdowns. That's tied for the most in the ACC. It's 42-35. The Orange have now scored 28 points in the second half. There's 5 minutes left. First and goal. Ball gets tipped. Devin Grant misses a golden opportunity for the INT, but Canes will go on to settle for the field goal to make it 42-38. However, Syracuse would hang on to win, getting the biggest comeback in program history after being down 21-0. Kyle McCord now holds the program record for most passing yards in a season, over 4,000, the most touchdowns in the season. The guy has had himself a year, and the Ohio State Buckeyes are looking at it like, damn. But the Miami fans are really looking at it like, damn, because they lost and might now be out of the college football playoff. Matt, what is your initial reaction as we take a look at the reactions on social media?
How you like that Honda McCord now, baby doll? All right? No, hey, congratulations to Kyle McCord. I'm not going to be petty. He's played great football.
I mean, look, the Will Howard comparisons continue over here.
You know what?
I mean,
it doesn't even matter.
Men lie,
you know
women don't lie.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know why? Because he's with Fran Brown, and he's with a team that believes in him, and a coach that believes in him, and a coach that has empowered him and has said, we go where you go, my friend. And you know what? That's why the young man is rewarding him with great play. He's done it all year. They've won a lot of shootouts. He's played tough. He's played gritty.
He's led the nation in passing this year.
That's right. He's played great, man. So, hey, congratulations to Kyle. It's an awesome moment for him and his family and all that, of course, and it's on the same day that Ohio State lost to Michigan, but that doesn't even matter. The fact is
serendipitous.
He's
serendipitous.
It's very serendipitous. I love your vocab, man. But you're right.
Wait. What does serendipitous mean?
It's fortunate.
It's fortunate, yeah. And it kind of like meant to be in a way,
Yeah.
too. And, that's where for Kyle, all that doesn't matter. He was meant to be there,
Right.
like you said. He's being coached by people that believe in him. They took care of business today. Great win for the program. Syracuse with Fran Brown. This is a team that, let's face it, we're going to be talking about them.
Agreed.
All right, they're not going anywhere. And luckily for Syracuse and what Skubie did a few weeks ago with the do's and don'ts, Fran Brown's showering tonight, all right? Because they got the dub, but really hard-fought football game. They're going to get better. He's a very good recruiter. He knows and understands talent extremely well.
Yeah.
And, man, they played really tough today, and they've been in a lot of games like this all year. So is Miami.
Okay.
And I think that's what concerns me for the college football playoff. Too many close calls, even with W's.
Yep.
Do you think the playoff committee really values those close calls enough?
And that was going to be my next point in all this. Shout out to Syracuse for being able to get the win. But now the Miami Hurricane fans are sitting there saying, wait, do we still have a spot? Now, I'm very concerned for Miami being able to have a spot because, all right, your losses to Georgia Tech, that looks a lot better now.
No doubt.
They played really well against
Georgia Tech's a good
Georgia,
football
right?
team.
That's a good football team.
Yep.
And even though you lost to them, we respect that a little bit more.
Right.
But you don't have that much of an impressive win. Your best win right now is probably what, Louisville?
Louisville. That's where that was
Louisville
my
and
point.
Florida.
Is where Florida helps, but
Right.
like where are your wins coming from? You can have good losses, but you got to have good wins on your resume. It does help that the committee did rank Miami as the highest ranked team in the ACC. I think the biggest question is going to be where are they going to fall? How far are they going to fall?
It's going to depend on what happens in the conference championship games. Like, we're going to look at Miami and say they probably still deserve to be in the top 12, but depending on which team loses in the conference championships and which teams win, will there still be a spot for them?
And it goes back to what Heather
TBD.
said a few weeks ago, and really the recent weeks too, is that we were thinking maybe ACC has two teams now because of everything that's happened to the SEC. After today, I don't know. It might be back to one team now making it, and that'll be the champion.
And real quick, we got a question up in the YouTube chat. Shout out to everyone in there. They asked, is Alabama going to be able to make the playoffs? Now that Miami has lost, that opens up a possibility.
It's going to be close.
For Alabama to get into the college football playoff. So that's what we're looking at here because the spots are limited. And as teams start to lose, like Miami, now the other ones are going to have a case, and Alabama's going to be one of them.
Well, we'll talk about that. We're going to do a full touchscreen breakdown of the 12-team playoff, at least where it stands right now at 8:30 on Saturday night. Last night, though, we were up late into the night between the hedges. Little clean, old-fashioned hate between Georgia and Georgia Tech. We're going to pick this one up, though, in the fourth quarter. Tech leading by 7. Here's Haynes King. He was playing out of his mind. Hopefully he was on the couch laid up today because he got hit a ton. Yellow Jackets by 14. Georgia fans are heading for the exits because on their next drive, Carson Beck. Nice connection there. That would bring them back. So they're down a touchdown. And then here we go. Here's where things got a little hairy. Dan Jackson. Walk-on, former walk-on.
Whoa.
Knocks it loose. Knocks it loose.
Now, a little controversial here because some people deem this as targeting. Check it out. Head down, hits him right in the kisser. Pow! But hey, they didn't call it. Should have held on to the rock, my boy.
Next possession. First and goal for the Dogs. This is Dominic Lovett with the grab. Yes, he is in. Georgia, just like that, ties it up with a minute to go. That is not incorrect. 7 overtimes. This game went. King stuffed there at the goal line. So Georgia now with a chance to win it in the 8th overtime. Finally, we get a handoff there. Finally, somebody decided to run it.
Just give it to a running back. It works.
Georgia, it's amazing what happens, right? They said they ran out of 2-point plays. I don't disagree with them.
Yeah.
It was an excellent game, probably one of the more exciting games of the year.
It was.
Georgia holds on to win, which probably gives them a solid buffer in the SEC Championship game if they were to lose that. But I will ask you this, guys. So now we know that Georgia is going to be playing in the title game, who do you think they would rather see, Texas or Texas A&M? Now, keep in mind, they have already beaten Texas.
Yeah.
And they beat them handily.
I think beating Texas twice in the same year is more beneficial for them, just big picture and just like their overall view in the college football playoffs eyes, even though it doesn't matter because they're going to get a bye with being the champion. More favorable matchup. It's always more difficult, I think, to beat the same team twice in one year. Right, so I think with Texas, it gives a little bit more advantage, right, that second time around to say, this is what they did the first time. This is how we can counter some of those things if this were to happen again. So I think overall, Texas would be the better win for them, right, because I think it's the tougher win. Texas A&M, I think, is a good football team, but not playing, I think, their sharpest football at the moment.
All right, so this is the moment in the show where Scoob gets to tell everybody that he was right, because Quinn Ewers started the game for Texas, but who came in and scored the first touchdown, Scoob?
Arch Manning. Quinn Ewers had an ankle injury against Kentucky. They put Arch Manning here to run the QB option, and what'd he do? Get in there for the touchdown. Hard run, because you know why? He's the most athletic Manning that has ever Manninged, and this was huge, guys. Texas ended up having a 10-play, 93-yard drive. On 4th and 2, they go for it, and Arch Manning scores a 15-yard touchdown. Now, I expected this week that we would see Arch Manning get some time in this game just because of the ankle injury with Quinn. And honestly, just having an athletic quarterback out there running the ball always benefits the offense. You know why? Because you have an extra blocker. So that's why it helps out. And we got a 7-0 ball game. We'll get back to this real soon.
All right, time now for the playbook presented by Modelo. So after the loss to Kansas, Colorado bounced back in emphatic fashion. We go back to the touchscreen with our very own QB, Matt Sims. Matty, what did you like from Shedeur Sanders and this Colorado offense yesterday?
All right, now, hey, anyone that out there is doubting whether or not this guy is a first-round quarterback, he is the first pick of the draft. He really is, because the way that he plays the position, it's stellar, man. It's lights out. This is a concept that we've seen and discussed throughout the season this year, the mesh concept. So we have a 3-by-1 formation. We have a shallow cross by this lone receiver over here. The opposite receiver on the other side will be running the shallow underneath. So he's kind of setting that pick for him. The on-the-ball guy is running the over-the-ball route, OTB. And then we have a spray post here, which typically is alerted versus certain coverages, especially a single high look. Oklahoma State matches this with a quarters coverage. So they have 2 deep safety, but because this is mesh in a 3-receiver bunch formation, this weak side safety is pushing and looking towards that 3-receiver side. We have a 4-man rush in this play, and I just want you to notice, right, as soon as we hit right here at the top of the drop for Shedeur, everything is pretty well covered. He can throw it here to this shallow, but this guy's going to drive on it and make the play. So what does he do? He says, well, I'm in no real danger. I'm just going to continue to buy time, and I love this move right here. Still covered, still protected pretty well. He slides back. He resets the pocket again for himself. Now this creates even more avenues for him to fill this lane. He attacks the line of scrimmage, and this is something that he does better than anyone in the country. He's got defenders converging on him from every side, front, side. And guess what? He is nice and relaxed. He keeps his eyes down the field and throws a beautiful throw to an uncovered receiver that finds space after all those things. Because in zone, guess who they're looking at? They're looking at the quarterback. So they lost sight of the receiver on the underneath there. He bought time, made the big play when it happened.
At no point in that play, or really many of the plays that we'll see in this playbook, does he ever seem stressed or rushed? It doesn't seem like he gets enough credit for the fundamentals.
No doubt. And that, to me, is where he separates himself from every other quarterback that's in this draft class, is the fact that no matter what the situation or the pressure or the defense, we're going to see another great example here. He is just like stoic, right? I mean, like Ryan Holiday, daily stoic. Like, that's Shedeur right here when he's playing quarterback. We're going to attack now Oklahoma State. As you can see, everyone's essentially on the same level here defensively, and their eyes are on who? The offensive player that is directly in front of them. So everyone is looking at the guy that they're covering. So we're getting here for the Colorado offense a cover 0 look. All of these defenders will be blitzing, right? And in a 5-man protection here by Colorado, we're going to have one guy that is free and unblocked. Colorado is going to match this right, with a very aggressive down the field throw. So he's going to have a quick route here. Oh, excuse me. I went a little too close to that. You're going to have like a quick outlet route over here on the bottom.
Yep.
We're going to get a big box fade here, right, by the slot receiver. This is the same route that we were actually highlighting a year ago with Jaden Daniels, right,
wow.
when he was playing against Mississippi State. Same look, man coverage, game on the line, dropped it in the bucket. Same thought here, cover 0. Game on the line. Well, not really, because they had complete control of this. But what I want us to see again, he identifies the coverage quickly. It's cover 0. He has a one-on-one. He drifts in the pocket, buying time. He has a free rusher here right off the edge. And this is where you have to fight all of your natural instincts as a human being. Fight or flight. He does a great job staying relaxed. Good step and throw in rhythm here. He knows he's about to get hit. Great fundamentals as you're talking about, even under duress. And a beautiful follow through while he's being hit. Hey, was it a perfect spiral? No, but look at the ball placement here as we drop it in the bucket perfectly.
Literally.
And this is why Skubie always says that he has that like Steph Curry-like accuracy that no matter what, he's giving his guys an opportunity. So cover 0, Oklahoma State trying to get after it, trying to affect the passer. Can't do that against this quarterback because he's seen it and he's had great experience through those moments.
Over 3,900 yards this year, and to Scoob and yours point, 74% completion percentage. He's under so much pressure and under duress constantly. It helps when you have an outlet like number 12, though.
No doubt. And again, this is a concept, right? 4-man rush here, 4-man rush. We have a 3-by-1 formation by Colorado again. So we're going to get that same quarters push coverage. So this defender, this safety, they're all working towards this 3 receiver side. They're basically telling the corner here in the bottom, you have this tight end one-on-one if he goes out,
Sure.
all right? If the back goes over here, the linebacker will cover him. So we're trying to flood this side of the football field. So for the purpose of just like who has the pen last, Oklahoma State should cover this play with no problem. This is how Colorado attacks it. They have a corner route here by the inside receiver. They're actually going to run a shin and go. So a shin means short in, right? A 5-yard in. He's going to run a shin, and then when he gets to the back here, he's going to try to beat him with speed right over the top to the goalpost. That's where they want to hit the touchdown right here. And then the outlet is Travis Hunter here on the outside with the second shin route or a short in route. So it's basically just that goalpost throw to the short shin versus press or some sort of blitz coverage. We're going to take the one-on-one opportunity on the corner, but versus this zone, it's this to the short end.
So that's his progression.
That's his progression, right? 1 to 2 right there. Now with this look, since the tight end blocked, this guy adds in. And Shedeur is not supposed to sprint out here, but he feels this defender. The defender gets stuck in no man's land here. He reacts. He escapes out of the pocket. And now this is what I want everyone to notice at home. And Scoob, you're going to love this right here. You're going to love this moment right here. You guys check this out.
Let me see it.
So as soon as we get in this motion, scramble mode. This defender, okay, he tries to turn and find Travis Hunter. All right, and he's going to say, okay, I just got to defend the guy.
I got him.
Let's watch what happens, everyone at home, okay? Chop suey, okay? Beautiful throw, though, right, by Shedeur on the move. Again,
going right,
common thread.
going right, throwing left.
Hey, someone in his face, doesn't matter. He does great with his arm manipulation, throwing across his body. And with that little shake and bake, all right, El Diablo gets open there in the touchdown, furthering his reason of why he needs to be the Heisman this year. And here's a big wide view of it right here. Another example of, watch this, Scooby, watch it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Oh, okay, there we go. Open,
doing
touchdown.
him wrong.
So those are a few examples of why Shedeur is the #1 pick in this year's NFL draft, okay, because the dude just does some phenomenal things.
I wonder to what team? Maybe your Giants?
Hey,
TBD.
We'll see, but no doubt, wouldn't mind it. He looks good in blue.
Still waiting. By the way, Colorado may have a shot here. Big 12 still getting played out as we're doing.
I know. We're getting
doing
ahead
this
of
playbook.
ourselves.
So we'll see what happens. But thank you so much, Matty, for that breakdown.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, time now for the 2-minute drill presented by Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Turkey and touchdowns on Thanksgiving. And Memphis quarterback Seth Hennigan took it to the green wave of Tulane. Greg DeRozier Jr. How about that? Put 2 guys on skates. 1, 2, hit them.
Tigers in a blender.
Cruise to a 10-point win, all but eliminate Tulane.
Can I have this dance? All right, Georgia Tech. Haynes King hits Jamal Haynes, who cranks that thing like Soulja Boy. Watch him Superman into the end zone here.
Yeah.
Huge play in the game as Georgia Tech took Georgia to the brim in this game. 8 overtimes is what we're talking about, but Georgia would have won it.
North Texas and Temple. Check out the wheels from Mackenzie McGill. Mean Green, one of the highest scoring teams in the group of 5.
Nice.
Excellent rush for McGill. He's into the end zone.
McGill, the thrill.
Yeah.
I like that cut right there in midfield. A little break. Man, unbelievable.
Oh, you thought I was going that way. How about Vanderbilt, Tennessee? This is one of the best interceptions you'll see. Jermod McCoy is a definition of concentration. Tip balls and overthrows, you got to get those, but right there, he just tipped him to himself. Give me that. Let me lock in. Woo! Nice.
Getting lost in the midst of rivalry week, guys. UMass and UConn dates back to 1897. Here's the run from Jaden Brown.
Oh,
He's
man.
gone to the house.
Oh, he gone.
96-yard kick return for Brown. Not a great look for the Huskies that they were in a battle here with 2-9 UMass, but UConn gets the win, moved to 8 wins, and they are bowl eligible for the first time since 2022.
Congrats,
Thank
Sam.
you,
I know
appreciate
that's your
it.
team.
I did a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, and then Travis Hunter. Look at him getting his 3rd touchdown of the game. This is what makes him so special. That concentration and hand-eye coordination. Heisman, you see it. We got the 1-2 in the middle. He's different.
Travis clinch the Heisman. Thank you, God, for stopping me. Because I almost said something. I think Travis clinched the Heisman with his performance. I think he made a lot of people aware of how ignorant there was with the Thorpe.
All right, so heading into the final week of the season, it really was between Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty for the Heisman Trophy.
Yep.
And I think both players are deserving of this award, Maddie. But do you think that Travis Hunter, with his performance against Oklahoma State, all but shored up that Heisman Trophy, or just some debate there?
I'll be the devil's advocate in this conversation.
Okay,
all right?
let's hear it.
Ashton Jeanty, to me, is the Heisman for this year, right? Now, I'm doing this as an exercise, all right? I actually,
There's a case to be made.
I'm a big fan of Travis Hunter, and hey, I think that he won it. But Ashton Jeanty, we're talking about, hey, what's the game plan stopping Boise State every week, Scoob?
Stop Ashton
Load the
Jeanty.
box.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, everybody at home, name me another play on Boise State's roster. I'll wait. I'll keep waiting. You know why? Because the team is built around this one young man, all right? Leading the country in rushing, 2nd in the country in yards after contact. So that means it doesn't matter if it's blocked well. He's still making big plays down the field for this team. And oh, by the way, he does have his team in a championship game and in the college football playoffs. So Ashton Jeanty, you are a bad man, and you deserve a lot more respect than what you've been getting because your PR team isn't as good as Colorado's. I would like to see what would happen if he did play for the Colorado Buffaloes. But no, I think Ashton Jeanty's a really good football player. He's going to be playing on Sunday for a long time.
What's the case for 12, Scoob? Because I know there is one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Travis Hunter that separates him from everybody else is the fact that he's effective on both sides of the ball.
That's right.
Yes, the game plan is to stop Ashton Jeanty, but the game plan for teams that go against Colorado is to make sure that they don't throw it to 12 and to make sure that they cover 12. Now, the thing about Travis Hunter that cannot be overlooked, and I know a lot of people are using this against him, is the fact that he plays so many snaps throughout a game.
Yeah.
But to be effective on both sides of the ball, to make an impact on your entire team to the point where you make everybody else better is the reason why I think he is the Heisman.
And he can dance.
Regardless, yeah, he can dance. I think both of these players deserve a trip to New York.
Of course they do.
And I think both are certainly worthy of the Heisman Trophy. It's funny that they're both playing in the Mountain West, kind of area. It's been exciting to watch both of these players. We'll see who takes home the Heisman Trophy. All right, here are the scenarios in the Big 12. Yes, Colorado fans, that is correct. All you need, a BYU loss. BYU playing Houston late night tonight. So none of this is really going to get sorted out probably until the wee hours of the morning on Sunday. I will say the territorial cut between Arizona and Arizona State, not so much a battle of territory as it was seeding of territory. For the Wildcats, Arizona State did all the mauling today early, so they did their job. Arizona State is, I guess you could say, has the inside track right now to get in.
Yeah.
But having said that, again, we just don't know enough information right now. We do know that Iowa State is doing what they're supposed to be doing right now as well. So Arizona State, Iowa State was, I think, the likeliest scenario coming into this weekend, but still a lot yet to play out.
Yeah, and Arizona State took care of business today.
Yeah.
And we saw everyone in rivalry games, whether or not they were that much better of a football team or not. Some teams struggled. Today, Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham, pretty cool, too, what he did for his coaching staff, too, with the extra bonus going to those guys. But, hey, they're a three-headed monster, right? It's Levitt, it's Skubie in the backfield, and it's Jordan Tyson. All three of those guys went off today, performed extremely well. 643 total yards by this football team. Ooh. So, Kenny Dillingham, you were doing some things out there on the offensive side of the football.
Arizona
Very
State,
good performance.
Who had them on their bingo card winning the Big 12?
Nobody. Not me.
I had Oak State. Look how that's turned out.
Yeah, not great.
The Big 12 has been an absolute mess, but I know Colorado fans are going to be interested to see what the scenarios are like, which we will talk about real soon. But as for Notre Dame fans, I heard y'all in our YouTube comments, so let's talk about it. You know, they had USC and Caleb Williams was at the game getting his jersey retired, hoping to see them manage the clock better than he did, okay? Okay, second quarter, tied at 7. Riley Leonard hits
cool.
Jeremiah Love and ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Dude,
calling him the Skywalker, yes, because he is your father. Incredible hurdle. Next play.
Dad?
Leonard launches it. And it's a touchdown. Great grab, great throw. Notre Dame up 14-7. And just check it out. You know, it was a tie game, 14-14, just about even. But then we go to the top of the third. We're still tied at 14. And the price is right when you give it to Jadarian Price. 36-yard touchdown.
He's great, by the way.
Notre Dame
awesome.
up 21-14.
Both
Go to later in the third. Leonard unleashes a hand cannon. Hits Mitchell Evans. Real deep. Those are strong hands for the grab. Notre Dame still trying to pull away. They were up 35-21 at that point in the game. And I think we all felt pretty good about what they were doing, but USC would not go away.
No, they played extremely well. I really like the fact that USC just continued to fight in this football game. But Notre Dame, super battle-tested football team, played extremely tough today. The running of the football is just, you can't underestimate just the power of that and the control it has on just wearing out the opposing defense. Riley Leonard played well again today, and they make plays on defense. Xavier Watts, Christian Gray, just a lot of good plays by that secondary late in that football game.
All right, well, let's check out those plays that you just talked about. In the fourth quarter, USC down 2 scores, trying to make something happen, but bad Notre Dame defense allows USC, Jeanty, and Mageza to pass it to Lane for the touchdown, but then here they are trying to make something happen, and Christian Gray, he's got him locked up like 50 Shades of Gray, no relation.
He did it. He did it. He made the 50 Shades of Grey reference.
This touchdown was hard. Gets in the end zone, makes it 42-28. Notre Dame ends up winning this game big time. It's an incredible play by him. And they had back-to-back pick sixes.
Yeah.
They end up winning it 49-35.
Impressive stuff. Now, the question, I think, becomes...
You didn't seem that excited, honestly, about it.
Well,
I've you know what, Sam?
Let's show a little more enthusiasm for Notre Dame.
Let's go ahead and ask Sam the question, because apparently there's some people that think you have something against Notre Dame.
Well,
Sam.
hold on, real quick. Time now for AT&T countdown
does.
to the CFP National Championship. Yes, I've taken some flack. I've taken some flack for Notre Dame, but I will give credit where credit is due. You win 10 games by like an average of 33 points per game. Certainly earns you a spot in the college football playoff. This is how we have it right now at, 8:53 p.m. on Saturday, so don't come for us if one of these teams loses late, namely Texas. But this is where we have it now. We have left the 11 seed open right now.
This.
Yeah.
So we dropped Ohio State, who was 5th.
Right.
5th.
Yeah, they're where
in
Georgia
the most
is.
recent.
Yeah.
They're where Georgia is now. We dropped them 4 spots to number 9.
Right.
That was really the biggest movement here of the day. SMU now gets it in as one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions projected out of the ACC.
Right. Even the Texas thing projected.
And you notice that you will not see Miami.
Because Georgia could end up right here, since they're playing in the SEC title game. And to Sam's point, we did take out Miami. Yep.
Just a quick note, and this is for the playoff committee. You are allowed to do this. You are allowed to send a Big Ten team to the South to play in the playoff, okay? Just saying, okay? Because last week and the weeks prior was everyone was going to the Big Ten to play in these football games.
Let's fill in this 11th spot here. These are the teams that are currently out.
And we've already set up our first team out and our second team out. And currently, right now, from what we see on the college football show, we have Alabama as our first team out, and then South Carolina as our second team out. So either one of those can get into that 11th spot. So how do you feel? Because you're over here kicking. We got two SEC teams, but I personally feel like Alabama gets in there.
I like that pick by you, and I can see why. South Carolina lost to Alabama in the head-to-head. They lost to Ole Miss in the head-to-head, but still, I think that South Carolina is the better football team than those two at the current moment. But that's just me, you know, and you know me. Like, I'm always going to favor the SEC, but I think South Carolina is playing really good football. And I think a lot of these teams wouldn't want to see a South Carolina football team.
But Alabama did close out the season strong. Jalen Milroe threw for over 200, ran for over 100.
They did.
When they are playing their best ball, they are a great football team, and that is the Alabama that South Carolina saw, which is why I think it will be tough for the committee not to put Alabama where they are. Now,
more recently, they've taken care of business, South Carolina. More recently, I still can't forget about Oklahoma. So that also just weighs heavy on my mind.
Obviously, I don't know if you mentioned it, but Alabama has the head-to-head over South Carolina. But I'm with you. I think that the committee does value how you play.
Recency
over the month of November.
Is that a word, Sam?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
thanks.
So what would have to happen for South Carolina to get in without having to kick out Alabama, or just with some type of help? What would have to happen?
Here's what would have to happen, and it's nowhere here on this board. They would need Clemson to win the ACC Championship.
That's a great point. Yes.
Because then they can say,
which would then do this, right?
Well,
but then where would SMU go?
They're out.
They're out completely because
SMU
they lost
would
to
not
BYU.
make it.
They're out.
Okay.
They would be one of those teams with, even though one loss to a BYU football team, which if they would have kept winning and kept their that would have been a good win for them. But I think SMU is a perfect example of a team that, although participating in a championship game, would be out if they lose it.
Right.
So here's how we have it right now. Our prediction. This is fluid.
Yeah, we're having fun. We're having funsies.
So we'll put it back over there. But South Carolina as an 11 seed, in terms of the team that's currently playing better. But what I think the committee will really end up doing is putting Alabama, because it's not always most deserving, but when you mix the two together, it's most deserving and the one who has been able to beat South Carolina. So let's go ahead and work through this and decide how it will go.
So many variables.
Georgia, winning over here. We're cool with that? Which one would you take? Let's go ahead. Let's run through it fast. Tennessee? All right. Alabama, Penn State?
Penn State at home.
Penn State.
Penn State at home over Alabama.
Notre Dame.
All right. What we got here?
Georgia.
Georgia? All right.
Yes.
Tennessee, Oregon.
Penn State.
Wow.
Texas.
Tough one.
Oregon. Tejas.
I think that's the national championship a lot of people had at the start of the year. So
and it just ends up falling that way, and that's how it always it just sets itself up.
How much different does it look than a week ago?
Well, I don't think it'll look anything like this.
I know, but a week ago when we did the same thing, I'm like, I already forgot how we had it.
Who's our winner?
We might have had Alabama in the championship a week ago.
It's a toss-up.
You pick, Scoop.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Now you got to pick Texas.
We're going with Oregon as a champion.
We'll see how it works
hold on. Let me go ahead and grab this real quick for y'all, because things are going down. Time for us to do a live look.
All right, let's check back in with Texas A&M.
It's right behind you guys.
I think we got a penalty going on. There we go.
Okay, so they're reviewing a penalty right now. That looks like a targeting call, possibly.
It's currently 14-0. Texas is in front.
Transfer from Clemson,
so,
with a lot of experience
so far, based on what I've seen, this is a real statement game for Texas.
Do you think so?
On the road, playing in this environment,
no doubt.
I think this is a statement game.
You know something? You know something that we didn't do on that is put Texas A&M in the conversation.
Right.
Because they win this game.
And
then let's go ahead and say they go on to the SEC Championship. If they win that game,
that's another reason why South Carolina would be in, though.
And that's another reason too. We thought that with 12 teams, we're going to simplify the process, and all we've done is just make it more diluted, right? More frustrating, right? Because the variables to this is just, it's never ending. I mean, what What if Texas A&M ends up winning this football game and then beating Georgia in the SEC Championship? What kind of fallout does that have on the rest of the SEC? And that's
a lot,
right?
Well, right now, it's not looking good.
What happens if Penn State beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship? What does that affect Indiana? Does that affect Ohio State?
I think Oregon is probably in a win. You could lose the rest of your games and still be in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they're safe, I'm saying, but does that have a fallout effect on the rest of the guys, right? Does that have a fallout effect on Ohio State and Indiana now?
Probably, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's where I get curious, right?
Yeah, probably.
You know, and that's what's so interesting about this, but. Not surprised by how this game is going. I think Texas overall is the better football team, right?
Yeah.
I think Elko, what he has done in year one, I mean,
Tremendous.
like I've always said to you guys, like, hey, coaching matters. There's a reason why this team is 8-3 with all of the question marks that they've had at quarterback, with Wegman, Marcel, only being a freshman.
No targeting call, 4th down.
I know.
They're putting it. Yeah.
But that being said, I believe in this man. They're going to make some good stuff going forward here.
If you could win
for Texas
football
A&M.
games at Duke, you could probably win football games just about anywhere.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
Mike Elko, certainly the guy, and he's got the Texas connections. Not happy about the call there, though.
Glad to see this rivalry back, though. We need this for college football.
Right.
Texas A&M, it is special. This is you know, if we're talking Michigan, Ohio State, this one for the state of Texas is important for football to be played.
Yeah,
so glad that it's back.
I know it's tough, 14-0. Even if it gets to 21-0,
Look at that stadium,
we
dude.
just saw Miami lose a game that they were up by 21 points in.
Right. That's true.
Georgia was down in their game against Georgia Tech. So anything can happen.
He was just announcing it was 4th down.
Real quick,
Elko working the officials.
Who is your favorite this year?
That's what I was actually just going to ask.
Who is it?
I would probably say it's this team right here.
Tejas.
I would probably say that, yeah. Even despite the loss to Georgia at home, I still feel that they're confident. Now, they're not going to put up 45, 50 points a game like a Miami will.
Right.
But they're allowing 12 points per game on defense. They don't need to score 30, 40 points a game.
Right.
Because they can put up 35. And by the way,
some veteran leadership on the offensive line.
and the fact that they have Arch Manning as like a backup quarterback, incredible punt. I don't know.
Incredible punt.
Something that people don't have.
No,
I don't know. Who's your favorite?
That's a good point. And a week ago, or on our ranking show that we did last week, I said Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was one of the safer picks. After what I saw today,
Changes every
week.
week,
It
right?
really does change every week for me. And
Nobody
it's
knows.
tough for me to say that, especially with how they performed on offense. You know, and defense is tough. Right, I'm not sure though if I can fully buy into them now after what I saw today. You know, and one-off performances like this.
Yeah.
The whole year was based off of Michigan, and we saw a repeat.
Right.
You know, so that's concerning.
You got a
to me.
favorite, Scoop?
This season is so crazy. It's going to end up like Boise State, SMU in the championship.
No, you're right. At this point, I guess I'll go with Oregon. I'll go with
Oregon is my
I trust
favorite.
Lanning.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that he'll be able to coach it up and to win
right.
situational football. Dylan Gabriel comes up clutch. We've seen it year and year again.
Right.
And a lot of experience. So I'm going to go with the experienced quarterback and a hungry coach that knows how to scheme it up.
All right, so based on what we've seen already this season, Oregon's going to lose in the Big Ten Championship.
Literally.
We don't know.
Right?
Basically, we did an entire hour-long show, and we don't know anything. That's what we came up with.
Hey, we are back on Tuesday, rankings reaction.
Yeah.
Tap in with us, and then we'll be back here next week as well on Saturday. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much for watching the College Football Show presented by AT&T. We'll see you on
America,
Tuesday.
you're beautiful.